Welcome to Second Edition. I'm Gage Russell.
And I'm Carl Bell. Coming up on today's show, the Grandin area is being renamed.
Plus, people in the Edmonton area are protesting Tesla CEO Elon Musk.
But first we look at the called federal election and how NAIT students are reacting to it. Last Sunday, Prime Minister Mark Carney called for a snap election. All parties are getting their campaigns ready. Carney has promised to steer the Liberals in a different direction after Trudeau's tenure as Prime Minister. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre wants to reverse nearly all of Trudeau's policies, and NDP leader Jagmeet Singh pledges to prioritize building affordable homes for Canadians. We hear from NAIT students of what they think of the election call.
I am interested. It was interesting because I thought Mark Carney would just stay in power, but I guess he's sort of adhering to public opinion.
Well, I think it's a bit rushed, although we do need to have an election due to Prime Minister leaving before his term is over. Yeah, so I think it's a bit rushed, but I still think it's necessary.
Well, he needs to call an election. He doesn't even have a seat in the legislature. It's the time to call an election. That's appropriate.
The election will be held on April 28th.
Elon Musk's involvement with the U.S. government has many people boycotting and protesting against the brands he owns, Canadians included. A small but vocal group of Edmontonians came together outside of the Tesla dealership to stand in protest of Musk's governmental position. They stand in solidarity with the protesters in the U.S., sharing the name Tesla Takedown. Organizers say this event is mainly to spread awareness.
Just awareness. We're probably not going to get somebody to say, oh, I'm not going to buy a Tesla today. It's something you just don't decide to go into. It's not like when you're going to the grocery store and saying, hey, this product is made in the United States and right now I want to support Canadian, therefore it's easy to avoid that.
The group of peaceful protesters remained outside the dealership for an hour. Many passing Canadians honked and waved as they passed by, showing their support from the sidelines.
A neighborhood in St. Albert has a new name. After an hour-long council meeting, the Garden District has been renamed to The Gardens. The city wanted to change the name after discovering the possibility of unmarked graves of Indigenous children on the grounds of former residential school sites. Bishop Grandin was one of the people who led the campaign for residential schooling. Some citizens think they are trying to erase the history, while others think they're trying to move forward in a more positive direction.
In part, we're changing a bit of our history that's itself controversial, but the history isn't gone. We're not whitewashing it from the history books. We're just taking it off the signs. The history is going to remain in the history books.
Changing the name to The Gardens is effective September 4th. Free state names will be changed. Businesses with Grandin in the name can choose to change the name if they want to.
The NAIT Business Administration has teamed up with Dish Zero and the AABA to bring a sustainability pilot project to Alberta Avenue. Dish Zero, a nonprofit, has begun expanding outside the walls of the University of Alberta. They aim to bring reusable dishes to coffee places both on and off of campuses.
So the initiative itself was founded about 2019-2020. Students at the University of Alberta noticed that students drink a lot of coffee and it just goes to the landfill. So they thought, how can we have a program that's a little less wasteful, which is where they found this. The plastic is dishwasher safe, microwavable safe, and then entirely reusable.
Greenwald says this off-campus soft launch is hopefully only the beginning. The company wants to eventually make its way onto NAIT campus, then hopefully all around Edmonton. Now, on to sports. The University of Alberta curling team is off in PEI competing in nationals.
And the volleyball nationals are set to take place here at NAIT next season. Tia Folkman has more. Tia?
Thanks. The U of A curling team are in PEI this week at Nationals. We caught up with the men's team right before they headed east about their game plan. This was the men's last practice at home ice before leaving for nationals. The U of A curling team heads to PEI after they secured their spot with a 9-0 record at provincials. The team is hoping to carry the momentum through the whole tournament.
While going in, there's a lot of good teams, excellent throwers. We've met most of them before, so we know kind of how we stack up against them, but anything could happen at this level, just since everyone's so matched up. So I think we expect a playoff appearance, and we'll see how far we go into that.
Both U of A curling teams are competing for the chance to play at the World Junior Championship in Cortina, Italy. Nate is looking forward to hosting the ACAC Men's National Volleyball Championship in its gym next season. For the first time in its history, the Nate Athletic Department will welcome the National Volleyball Championships to its gym. The team is looking forward to home court advantage as it will push them further through the off-season.
Nate Athletics and Recreation are really excited to host this event. We put a bid in 2 years ago, was finally accepted and contract signed, so we're really excited to get going. It's great for our program, for the institution, and especially the team, who's going to be really excited.
After coming in 5th place in the last season's provincials, the Ukes men's volleyball team is looking to redeem themselves in the upcoming season. I don't know about you guys, but I'm very excited for Nate to play here.
Yeah, no, 100%. It's definitely going to be a historical event for Nate, so I'm excited to see it myself.
How about you, Carter?
I'm not much of a sports person, as you know. I'll probably just be watching the anime haiku instead, but I'll cheer for our team. Let's go, Nate.
Thank you, Tia.
Thanks, guys.
After the break, we visit a gym aimed at women's fitness.
We also talked to an expert how people can stay healthy with measles on the rise. The current measles outbreak is continuing to grow in Canada.
That's right, Carter. And with the dropping vaccination rates since COVID, experts think this could only be the beginning. Sarah Shadewasser has more.
In 1998, Canada declared that the measles virus had been eradicated. But today, we've seen over 350 cases in Canada since late February. With 14 of those cases being in Alberta and 3 being in the Edmonton area, I sat down with an infectious disease specialist to see what you can do to keep you and your family safe. With so much measles in the media, I think there's a lot of concern about if you were vaccinated as a child and you got your 2 doses, are you fully protected, or is there still some concern for those people?
Right. I mean, there's actually a bit of a generational divide here, because there was a time when 1 dose was recommended in childhood. And so there's a cohort of people who had 1 dose and that was fully vaccinated. And now that's no longer considered fully vaccinated. But everyone who's had 2 doses can be, pretty assured that they've had long-lasting protection from that. And boosters are not usually required if you've had 2 doses.
There's been about a 7% drop in children under 2 getting vaccinated. What's kind of the fallout with an outbreak like this, and is this something that we could continue to see more of in the future?
That's, that is the question. In terms of the current issue, I think that the drop in vaccination impact varies by disease. And measles is absolutely the canary in the coal mine, because you need 95% or more community immunity, like I guess I'll say, to get herd immunity, to be able to really contain the spread of measles when it's introduced. Measles is, said to be eradicated in North America, but that doesn't mean you can't have little introductions and flares from places where measles is spreading. And the degree of flare really depends on how good the immunization program has been. And if it's 90%, 95% plus, you usually don't get much transmission within a community. But even as soon as you start to drop into the low 90s and 80s, that every percentage drop in uptake does actually cause a higher likelihood of a bigger outbreak. For measles especially. Other diseases are a little more forgiving because they're not quite as contagious.
If you're unsure whether or not you've been vaccinated or suspect you may have contracted measles, you can dial HealthLink at 811. For Second Edition, I'm Sarah Shadewasser.
A fitness program at the Booster Juice Recreation Center is aiming to empower young girls aged 12 to 17 years old in the gym.
The program teaches girls exercise fundamentals and techniques in a private, judge-free training studio. Brie Basset has more.
Getting into the gym as a young girl can be pretty intimidating. A program offered through the City of Edmonton hopes to eliminate that. Strong Her allows young girls aged 12 through 17 to learn fitness fundamentals in a private studio. Today I am here at the Booster Juice Recreation Center in Terwilliger to learn more. Hi, my name is Brie Boucher for Second Edition, and today I am here with Kim Ellis, who is the instructor for the Strong Her program. So Kim, I have a few questions for you today.
Awesome.
So what is the Strong Her program?
So the Strong Her program is a City of Edmonton registered program. It's 6 weeks for girls that are between 12 and 17 years old. And during the program, they have 6 different classes, all building up towards, at the end, the goal for it is for them to be able to go and plan a workout on their own and feel comfortable and confident in the gym. So they will get their Youth in Action card, which is a requirement for kids under 16 to have to be able to access the gym at the rec center. But more so than just getting that, I want them to get confidence and knowledge and empowerment and be interested in going upstairs and working out on their own.
What is the goal of the Strong Her program?
My ultimate goal was just to give them the knowledge to know what to do and to want to go and feel comfortable, so that now there's more and more girls in the gym, and that's ultimately what my goal is.
I'd like to thank you, Kim, for joining me. Thank you, and good luck with the rest of the program.
Thanks a lot.
What drew you to this program?
I think the main thing that drew me to this program is the fact that I get to work in a group of people who are my age, who have probably been through the same stuff as me, so I get to relate to a group with no judgment.
What is your favorite thing that you've learned in this program so far?
My favorite thing I've learned about this program is when going upstairs, we've learned how to use all the different machines that I thought were very intimidating when we first went up there. But now I see that it's actually very simple to use, and I feel much more confident now.
I'd like to thank Strong Her for inviting me into their program to learn all about it. If you or someone you know is interested, the next class takes place tomorrow and is $84 to register. For Second Edition, I'm Brie Boucher.
Since the end of COVID, the average number of moviegoers has gone down.
However, one of our local Edmonton theaters continues to thrive. Our Avery Stenson has more.
I'm Avery Stenson with Second Edition. With fewer and fewer people going to see films and a newer generation preferring streaming over leaving their homes to go see a film, I sat down with the director of the Garneau Theatre to see how they still run a successful business here in Edmonton.
So with you guys being a nonprofit, is all your funding coming from purely box office, or do you get government help? Because I know it's a historical building within Edmonton.
So it's a balance between different levels of government that fund us. So we get funding from the Canada Council for the Arts, the Alberta Foundation for the Arts, and the Edmonton Arts Council. And all 3 of those levels of government give us consistent operating funding. It works out to probably about 1/3 of our funding coming from public, and then donations and the box office.
And I know with most mainline cinemas, people going into movie theaters and watching them has gone down since COVID, with more streaming services popping up. Has that affected the Garneau at all?
A big increase coming out of COVID as people really want to come back to in-person events and shared spaces, and kind of take part in watching a movie with their friends and with just strangers, and watch movies with people as opposed to sitting at home on their couch. And I think there's a desire for that kind of experience.
Do you find younger kids are still enjoying the older theater?
Yeah, absolutely. We still do a lot of stuff with the Garneau School and with different schools around Edmonton. For kids that have maybe never watched a movie anywhere other than in their home on Netflix, coming out to see this can be a pretty amazing experience, and even a little overwhelming. Again, this is a very different experience. It's not what they would be used to, and so I think the uniqueness of what we offer is almost even more palpable for younger generations. And you can definitely see that when kids come in, that like this is just kind of an awe-inspiring building to walk into in a lot of ways.
With the rich history of the Gardner Theatre, they look to continue on and being a staple of the Edmonton community. Avery Stenson, 2nd edition.
Coming up, a look at whittling, where you're being shown how to make something with a stick, a knife, and a little bit of elbow grease.
And we will also be showing you the beauty of vinyl records after the break.
Welcome back to 2nd edition. We're going to learn about collecting vinyl records.
But first, we're going to take a look into the world of whittling. Gordon Haggerty has more.
Hello, my name is Gordon Haggerty with 2nd edition. Today, I'm going to show you one of my favorite hobbies to do, and one that has some practical uses in real life: whittling. Step 1 is get a stick. Kind of a little bit skinny. I don't even know how I'm going to make a spoon out of this one. I do believe that I've found a good one here. This kind of branch is kind of like what you might want right at the end here. A nice good base for working on. Just have to get rid of the rest of this. I'm here back at my garage at home, and I think I'm going to cut this stick down a little bit, probably to about here, so I can just work with this space here. Now that we're back in the house, we can start to whittle this thing. You're going to want to start with a nice straight knife just to get all the green bits off, and to chunk away the wood you don't need. Make sure to point the knife away from yourself so you don't cut yourself. You're going to get a lot of shavings from this project. You can use those later for either kindling for a fire or for future projects. A lot of whittling is just repeating the same motion over and over and over and over again, so you're just going to keep doing this for a couple of hours. When you're done using the rest of the wood that you were using as a handle, you can just snap it right off. You're going to want to use a scooping knife to get out the bowl of the spoon, and if you want, you can use a wood burner like I am to add some initials. There you have it. A well-made spoon out of a stick you can just find out in the wild. Now, if you'll excuse me, I've got a lot of cleanup to get to.
Hi, my name is Josh McCord from 2nd edition. Many people like myself enjoy collecting different forms of physical media. I myself am an avid vinyl collector. So why do I purchase vinyls instead of relying on Spotify or Apple Music? I'll show you at my favorite record store, while also showing you some of my favorite personal records.
I'm here at Blackbird Music, my favorite place to buy records here in Edmonton. We're here to ask 2 questions: why people still buy vinyl records here in 2025, and why people still prefer vinyl records over streaming. I'm here with Arthur, and we're here to talk about why physical media and vinyl records in general are just an interesting thing to collect. What inspired you to start a record store here in Edmonton?
I mean, of course, I like music. Obviously, I actually have a geology degree. And I was doing that, and I was working, out of town up north, and doing that for a couple of years. But then I had a friend who worked in a shop here in town called Southside Sound, now defunct. So one thing led to another, and I ended up opening a shop, which I never expected.
What do you think is the best thing about collecting like physical media such as CDs and vinyls? Do you find that it's better to collect vinyls and CDs rather than streaming online like Spotify or Apple Music?
Well, I just think there's room for both. And when you listen to a record, you're not skipping through all the tracks. When I stream music, I end up just skipping to the next one or to different artists so often, but it's more of a commitment, I think.
Well, thank you, Arthur. I appreciate the interview, and thank you for letting us into your store.
No problem. My pleasure.
So now we've learned some reasons as to why people prefer buying vinyl records over streaming. So now let's go take a look at some of the records I enjoy. This is The Doors' 3rd album release. Not their most successful, but still a classic, Waiting for the Sun. My favorite thing about this record is the track list, which you should keep in mind before purchasing a record, because vinyl is not the format where you can just skip songs. So this one's my personal favorite record. This is Pink Floyd's magnum opus, Dark Side of the Moon. This album was originally going to be called Eclipse, actually,
One of my favorite things about the vinyl is how sleek it looks, and it really, really stands out in a collection. Now this one's a classic. This is Michael Jackson's Bad from 1987. This one reached #1 on the Billboard for 2 solid weeks. Now it's time for you to make your decision. Would you prefer physical media or streaming still? I've shared some positives of owning vinyl records and physical media in general. I'm Josh McCord from Second Edition.
After that, I might want to help with my dad's own collection.
Yeah, and I think I'm going to be stick hunting after the show.
Unfortunately, that's all the time we have for today. Tune in next week for another episode of Second Edition.